Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome to Johnny Mac Games, and for those of you that are returning subscribers, welcome back. So the developers, as per usual, on their usual Tuesday fix, they posted on the forums a particular thing that they are going to be focusing on, in which they are going to be looking at combat improvements, and in particular, the responsiveness of the combat mechanics in the game. I know that me, personally, I have experienced a large amount of this whenever it comes to input delay, and just overall responsiveness, especially whenever it comes to weapon swapping. It can be a real pain, and it all has to do with how the client and the server side of everything communicates together. There is a high level of detail in this. This was actually made available in a previous post where they were addressing how the client side of things work. There was a huge stink about, being able to inject code into the client and, so forth and so on. But yeah, huge post on client autonomy. If I can actually find that post, I'll leave a link in the description below so that way you can read that for yourself. But let's go ahead and get back into the topic at hand. So we are going to be reading the post from Dave NW, New World developer. Hello, combat fans. Along with bug fixes, tuning, and the planned changes for the war territory control, the team is starting on the next steps for combat in New World. Our initial focus will be in weapon swapping, dodge cancels, and attack input windows. We are currently working on weapon swap responsiveness and making sure that it is more consistent throughout all of our attacks, as we want swapping weapons to be an integral and fluid part of combat. There are many times that you think you swapped weapons, but you end up attacking with currently equipped weapon instead. We are working to fix these situations and expand when you are able to swap your weapon. Along with weapon swap, we are looking into our dodge cancel windows and attack input timings during recoveries of all of our attacks. There are some inconsistencies that are not intended. For example, you are able to dodge cancel out of some recoveries, but not others. And you are able to perform heavy attacks out of the recoveries of some abilities, but not all abilities. Our goal is to make sure there are consistent input windows between all weapons and abilities. Weapon swaps, dodges, and attack inputs are a major part of our combat system, and we want to make sure they feel fluid and responsive. We'll be rolling these changes out over the next few releases, so please continue to provide feedback and we will continue to make improvements. In addition to the changes to combat responsiveness, we're planning on balance update in a future patch to adjust a variety of abilities and tune some of the lesser used abilities to make a wider selection of abilities more viable to further improve combat in Eternum. We don't want to spoil too much from this update yet, but know it's in the works and on its way. So this is pretty big news, really, guys, because I know I myself experienced a lot of issues where, I'm trying to swap between various weapons and it just doesn't want to take the swap. Or, you go to swing with a heavy attack from your hatchet and you can't cancel out of it. In which, a lot of people, I guess, would argue that they actually like that. It makes things a little bit more strategic. It's like, when you're committed to an attack, you're truly committed to it. But at the same time, it's like, whenever you're getting hounded by a group of enemies, I'm not talking PvP here, I'm actually talking, PvE, especially stagger. Stagger is real in this game. Especially whenever you're dealing with multitudes, any type of AoE farming or anything like that. The hatchet has, of course, berserk, where you're unstaggerable, so forth. But for those who are not using the hatchet, it can be a real pain. And, really the ability to cancel out of a heavy attack can really ultimately mean, life or death in some situations. But overall, I like the fact that they're communicating the various changes that frankly need to be made as quickly as possible whenever it comes to the combat. Because, I know myself, using hatchet and the ice gauntlet, there's many times where I cannot effectively quick swap over to the hatchet to close a gap or something like that. It's like I'm still using my ice gauntlet, and then whenever I think I'm actually going to be attacking with my hatchet, oh, I'm not. So I happen to, smash the button, and it kind of gets a little old after a while, you know, especially whenever I'm trying to survive. But overall, you know, I'm really liking the communication on this. I definitely think that this is something that they need to roll out as quickly as possible. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is there anything else that you think combat wise that you hope that they don't mess with and don't change? Or do you think that all these changes that they're proposing are things that desperately need to be changed ASAP? Or is there something that maybe that they need to change whenever it comes to combat that they might be leaving out? I know the other portion of this was, you know, balancing of the different skills. You know, I know in PvP they're talking about how the meta has shifted from, you know, basically running in with a whole bunch of tanks. And I've seen various videos where now the meta has shifted to the ranged characters, the mages, especially, you know, those who use Ice Storm. Ice Storm now has become almost indispensable whenever it comes to PvP, because now you can slow everybody, right, and just polish them off, especially now that the resistance bug is fixed, to the dismay of many heavy armor wearers and tanks. So now that the meta has shifted, now all of a sudden the ranged classes are a little bit too strong. And I saw a video this morning, and I've watched, you know, close eye on the forums, where there are many tweaks that still need to be made with life staff and heavy armor. The video I saw this morning was absolutely disgusting. The guy was pretty much unkillable in Outpost Rush. Like, he was being pounded on by 3 and 4 and 5 different people, and they could not kill him until about, I think, 6 or 7 different people got on top of him. And even still, it took a decent amount of effort to bring just one healer down. That is very, very incredible, and it lends to reason that there are changes that need to be made. Maybe not necessarily with healing itself, but if they would give more anti-heals to the game, right? I've seen this argument many times, and it's one that I'm starting to more and more come around to the idea of, is allow more anti-heals. Expand the current skill trees to allow anti-heals for the different weapons, right? If we have anti-heals, then that really kind of alleviates unbalancing the PvE side of things. Because let's face it, you're not going to really use anti-heals in PvE. You're mainly going to use your anti-heals in PvP. So if they just give the anti-heal, then they don't really have to change much with the balancing of, you know, the healing and how it works itself, except for maybe some minor tweaks here and there. So let me know what you guys think about that point of view as well. Let me know down in the comments, because I'd be very interested to see what your guys' point of views are. But for now, that's all I've got on this update, guys. Stay tuned to the channel. If you're not subscribed, smash that subscribe button, and also hit a like on this video. It really helps with the algorithm. But we got more videos coming. Stay tuned for regular updates whenever the developers decide to make some posts, as well as various hopefully soon builds in the future. I'm not max level yet, and I don't want to put out any build videos for a non-maxed character, but I do have some dungeon guides and so forth that are going to be going live here very soon. So without further ado, guys, I thank you for tuning in, and as always, I'll see you in the new world.